Welcome to Threads of Enlightenment, a podcast devoted to helping you overcome challenges in your life that prevent you from becoming the best version of yourself. Each episode features interviews with people from all walks of life about their journey of self-development and the principles they utilize to overcome their fears to achieve their desired outcome. Ready to be enlightened? Here's your host, Ken Primus.
Welcome to another episode of the Threads of Enlightenment, guys. As my audience know, this is my favorite part, one of it at least, is to welcome our guests because they're coming with a couple of things very expensive in my eye, time. I want to thank Rich for coming and spending some of this quality time because once it's spent, it's spent. And so he is coming to spend this quality time with us, and I want to honor him because I know how precious it is. I invite my listeners to learn about the value of time because if you learn it, you will value your relationship with self first and with others. The other is the journey. The journey is a powerful creator. He created Rich and he gave him some things inside of him, and we want access to that. What are those things? Wisdom, knowledge, insight. We want to dance with it. We want to find out how it formed in. What was that stuff? And so, why do we want to learn those things? So that we can become better human spirits while we're here on this precious place called the earth. Rich, welcome to Threads of Enlightenment, man. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Ken. I really appreciate the privilege of just being able to share my story with your audience.
Thank you so much. And again, I mentioned to you that one of the questions that we pose to you guys coming is the question as to how do you serve mankind? And I usually level this to you guys, but I also want to invite the listeners to that question as well, to let them know that this life is not just about themselves. There's others that are depending on what they know and the knowledge that they have in them. So how do you serve mankind?
The reason or how I serve mankind is through my music and also through my poetry. I published a book called From Victim to Victor, Transforming Trauma into Triumph, and that's a big part of my hero's journey, so to speak, through the pandemic. And I'll definitely get into more details in a little bit about how that came about and a lot of the struggles that I had to cope with in getting the book out.
Yeah, I tell people that trauma gives birth to all of us. We came to this natural realm through trauma. I was there and I saw my sons born, and I believe we enter into the spiritual realm also through trauma. We're going to leave this world and enter into the next realm through trauma. One of the very first space that as we enter into this world is the family. We spend time, Rich, with the family. And the family consists of mom and dad and so forth. We have brothers and sisters sometimes if we have those. But mom and dad are going to, from this household, we're going to learn a couple of things. We're going to learn relationship skills. We're going to learn all kinds of stuff. We're going to learn how to honor, respect, all these different things we're going to learn out of that time with the family. And again, we only stay there for a couple of years. What was your family unit like?
My family unit was it was pretty dynamic in regards to family life. I've been able to navigate having different personalities in regards to family dynamics because I also know that I have family who has very strong personalities. For example, my mother, she's very strong woman, and she's very authoritative in regards to how she approaches certain situations, and they grew up in a very strict household where had to be tough and things like that. So I instilled a lot of my resilience from that, from what she learned growing up and things like that, and her having to be, grow up so fast. And I'm learning things like that in regards to, what I'm putting out into my music of how I had to like fast track healing, during the pandemic so that I can be here for my family. And, all that to say, I have very interesting family dynamic in regards to how everyone interacted with each other. Um, there's been also times where there's been, a lot of fights and things like that within family, relating to business and outside of and personal as well. So it's just been very overall, human experience, being able to deal with a lot of different, again, personalities.
How did that as a young individual within that mix, how did you come out mentally? How did it affect you? And number one, your beliefs about yourself and others, meaning what was your assessment, if you will, of yourself and family relationships and people and stuff like that from that type of mix?
Well, for me, it helped me. Taught me resilience that even though I don't have like the perfect family per se, and I really believe like nobody does, that I was able to still, you know, go through life with my head on straight and still be able to pursue my goals without feeling like I was kind of like the odd one out, the outcast, so to
Mhm.
speak. And it allowed me to develop a stronger relationship with my family because I realized that because we all went through tough times within the family household, I felt like I was able to still maintain a good relationship with my family as well. So it just taught me how to be resilient in regards to how I approach a lot of different ventures in my life, like music and also with my book. It just taught me to keep going.
That's excellent. I want to ask a question as far as like poetry and music. As far as poetry, how old were you as a young kid? Did you start dabbling in poetry at a young age or in music or was it much later on?
It was much later on. I didn't really dabble into poetry until I got into like middle school, high school was when I really developed a knack for interest for just like self-expression through journal writing, and that's when I really started to experiment with poetry, with writing on raps. And it was, to be honest, it was more like self-expression. I didn't really know what it was. I didn't know there was a word like rap for it. I didn't know it was poetry. I just was expressing my emotions of what I was going through. And it just helped me be able to heal, and it helped me be able to process my emotions in real time. And all of that really helped me to navigate some of the dark spaces. As I grew into adulthood, I also realized that some of the things I was writing was my saving grace to times when I had to revert back to um times where I was not doing okay. I had something that I wrote that could give me solace, that I was here for a reason, and that I was able to serve someone who I didn't really know. So I just really am grateful for that outlet, and that it was a good outlet for me to be able to pay it forward, to be able to express not only what I was going through, but what other people may have been going through at the same time. And I was kind of able to like speak life into them as well as I was still figuring out how to navigate my own dark um situations and circumstances.
Let me ask a question. What was the pain that caused you to gravitate towards writing? What was the genesis, if you will, that caused you to look to writing as the way to express yourself and started you on that pathway of journaling?
For me, it was I realized early on that I was adopted, and for me, I just kind of felt like that was something that was strange to me because I didn't, I wanted to believe like, oh, this is my real parents and family, and it was just hard for me to cope with that at first because it just took me as a surprise. And I kind of felt like in life I was like, am I living a lie? Like, am I? But at the same time, I also realized that like it's something that I'm not the only one who's experienced that before. That there's so many people who are adopted, and I was still processing that, and sometimes still am because it's sometimes it's hard to be like, oh wow, like I really don't know, who my family parents are. And it's not to say that I don't love my family as it is, as I continue to grow into more mature man and things like that, and I still continue to walk through this life. I just realized that a lot of the things I was channeling was rejection. And I really believe that was really the stem for a lot of my writing. And it really took full circle when I started putting out a lot of my first records, and I started really getting into more of a sense of self, and realizing like, oh, I do have a purpose. Until after the fact that people were kind of like rejecting my music and things like that. So a lot of this, really stemmed from that. And then I didn't know I was projecting that rejection onto myself, where certain opportunities will come to me and I would just reject them because I
Hmm.
didn't feel like I was worthy of the opportunities, because that situation also, as far as like, feeling like I was abandoned. And I also felt like I didn't know like if I was really going to get the support as someone who did something different than everybody else in the family, who were more like that traditional family route is like you get the 8 to 5 and that's all and I wanted to take a different route. And at first I wasn't really it wasn't receptive
Yeah.
with my mom, and it was a big issue going into music with someone who's not receptive,
Hmm.
and battling that turmoil, that adversity, because I was like, I'm fighting against someone who I love, and at the same time fighting for my dream at the same time, and it feels like I have to pick.
Yeah.
So that was really the hardest thing that I had to deal with.
And how old were you when you found out that you were adopted? Because you said you started to put pen to paper in high school on the onset of the. How old were you when you found that information out that you were adopted?
I believe it was like in between middle school, high school,
Oh wow.
within that
Okay.
realm,
And that's a
early
lot for a
on.
little kid to handle at that age, as you're going into high school. And high school itself is a traumatic playground, if you will. To go in there, even as a regular kid. And now you're heading into high school. You're learning about your art, your skill set, if you will, your desire, your strong desire for music and stuff like that. And as you are moving through, and as you said, it's in high school when you started to develop the love for self-expression. As you are self-expressing yourself there, and you're clashing with your mother in your eyes, talk to me about that, because this is someone that you love, you respect, and this is mom, right?
Yeah.
And you're coming with your dream and mom. How did you guys eventually settle that? What was the outcome of that?
Well, to be honest, it took a while the after I graduated. I jumped into a college after, so it took a little while because I had to jump into flunking out of a college and then figuring out what I wanted to do, because to be honest, I wanted to do something where it would involve writing. So I wanted to be a journalist.
Hmm.
And that's what I studied within that last college that I went to. And because of the fact that I didn't get good grades, I ended up having to figure out my next steps. So
Yeah.
I was like, what do I do? Like, do I do journalism? Do I, what career path do I just do the 8 to 5? Because I work with family. So for me, like, I always felt like that was like, oh, if things don't work out, I can always just like settle back and just like ease into the 8 to 5. That's all I knew. And working with my family, and it's just I just didn't want that for me. I didn't see that for me. I saw something bigger. I saw a bigger vision. I saw me impacting hundreds and thousands of lives with my music. And I also was at a point where I was like, I had enough. I settled for so long building, my father's empire. But then it's like I neglected my own. And I had to sit with that one day. And when I was at work, like I heard a advertisement on TV on a radio station about this music school called IAR, which is the Institute of Audio Research,
Hmm.
and it was a school encouraging people to like pursue audio engineering. So I was like, let me try it out. I didn't really
Hmm.
think nothing of it, and I tried to convince my mom at the time that this is something that I really wanted to do, and even that was hard because she was like, why can't I do something in the medical field? And this is where things got heated.
Yeah.
between her and I was when she was just like, you want to do something that pays well and stability. And then I was just like, I just remember arguing and figuring out like, man, I don't want to do this. Like, I really want to pursue my music. Like, it's something I'm passionate about. But she kept on saying like, you need stability, do something in the medical field, do something else. And it was just really hard for me to grapple with at the time because she had such a fixed mindset at the time of like, this is what it's supposed to be and that's it. And it felt like she had a kind of a plan for what she wanted for me to do, regardless if I had certain plans. And she didn't even ask,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
sit down to ask like, hey, what do you really want to do? What are you, passionate about? Because to be honest, I never really opened up about that passion that I had for music because it was something
Hmm.
that I kept under wraps. And a lot
Yeah.
of people didn't really know that. And as soon as I expressed it to her, it was harder only because like there was no evidence
Yeah.
that was there about like, okay, he's talented and yeah, shoot for the stars. It was kind of like, well, I don't see this music dream. I don't see the success. I don't see none of that. So for me, it's always been like constant adversity to have to navigate because of the fact that there was no proof in the pudding about how I was gonna be able to sustain a music career without really being established.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing for me to like figure out. And then it took after the fact that I had gotten accolades for my music is when she really took me seriously as a son in regards to someone who's has dreams and goals in a sense of like, hey, like he has, dreaming to go. Like I need to like really honor him and what he wants to do because it's his life, not mine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it really took that moment to where the dynamic shifted a bit. And then I'm so grateful that I got those accolades because it helped her see like I am capable, you know, of
Hmm.
sustaining a music career and being able to just like have that mindset of like, hey, this is what I want to do and this is my life and being able to just honor my decision.
Did the accolades come? Did she relented and allow you to do the schooling, or how did that happen? Where you got the accolades? Were you able to break her down, if you will, for you to get into school to begin to do your thing?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. To be honest, I just kind of just was just like, it was back and forth. I was kind of like nagging her because the accolades didn't come after the fact that I recorded a couple of songs, but I also because it was the time when I first recorded my first two records in that school. So for me, it was just kind of like a try, like let's try it out and see, and then I guess she just like gave up and like, okay, let's just try it, kind of thing. She kind of just like,
Hmm.
okay, figure out how that's gonna go and then take it from there. So I was like, okay, and then she, I convinced her to take me to the orientation, um, at the school, and it was like, wow, I can't believe this is really happening, because I didn't really know. And she's a tough cookie, so like I was like, wow, like I couldn't believe like she was like, okay, I'll let you, try it out and see how it goes and next steps. But it was just, yeah, it was a constant like tug of war.
Yeah. When you got there after this tug of war, if you will, and here you are. This is your dream. No one had known. You had kept this within you for a pretty long time, and here you are. You finally got into a space because music is music, and whether it's a technical aspect of it, but it's still you're around music. And learning the technical aspect of music is really, really good anyway, because you get to learn how to do all the ins and outs that you need to produce in production of your songs. When you got there, how did it hit you? How were you feeling once you got there?
I was ecstatic to learn about music in general because I had such a love for music, but I just was infatuated how things were built around music. Because as someone who was I consider myself a lyricist, and in that regard of like, I was just very focused on my lyrics only. I didn't really know anything about production. I just knew like, got something on YouTube and rap over it. and that's all I knew. And it was just like, I really took it to a point where it's like, okay, it was cool to like actually learn the ins and outs of what goes into like engineering and production. And it was really cool. And I just felt ecstatic because it was like, wow, I'm living my dream in full time. And it was so
Yeah,
cool because that they had a studio there, so I was able to be in the school and actually like have like studio time. And it was really cool to have that, for me to be able to like work on my chops, not being in the studio and actually like getting thrown into like a studio space
hmm
because I'm in the school. So it was a lot of exciting new firsts for me, and it was something that was liberating in a sense of like, okay, I'm able to really figure things out in regards to my music because this is like the foundation for me.
that is awesome, man. And is it there that you get a chance to produce your first couple of songs, if you will?
Yes, I had someone who did a couple of records with me within that school that I made friends with in
hmm
the college that I was in. And it was cool because we built the rapport together. He did a couple of my first tracks, and then after that, I got out of the school. I ended up, navigating into a different music space and studio. I recorded my first EP in a different studio. And then I started to really go for it and put out my a lot of my music afterwards.
And where was it that you got your accolades, if you will? And that's when mom recognized that, hey, okay, he may have something.
Yes, I had to drop my first EP, which was, wow, I believe it was 2015, so almost like literally like almost 10 years ago when
hmm
I dropped my first project. And once I started getting the accolades from there, I was very intentional about posting some of my accolades on social media, and she would see them like, oh, I got my music played on this video station. I got this music feature on this website. And she kept on seeing that on my timeline. So, and then she would always like repost, like, oh, I'm so proud of my son, and things like that. So I was like, oh my goodness, like, wow, this is really happening. Like, I really see her like really like rooting for me. Cause at first I'm like, is she against me? At first,
Yeah,
when
yeah,
we had that dynamic of like, we were, going back and forth in regards to like career, because career is important. So I wasn't like really like upset at the time, but
hmm
now I understand as an adult, like, okay, she was trying to like keep me safe and make sure like I was secure in
yeah,
my career and things like that, which I respect a lot. And I know that security is important in life. And I also know like passion is just as important as security, and be able to love what I do. So I did take a few accolades, but I also realized that sometimes even without the accolades, I still fought for my dreams. And I want to encourage anyone who's listening to this podcast is that, hey, like, if you have a dream and you're the only one that is rooting for you, hey, at least that's one person in your corner. Because sometimes it takes you believing in yourself, to be honest, for other people to believe in you. And that was a hard pill for me to swallow. Like, I want someone to believe in me, for me to like want to just sometimes go for it 100%. And I also realized God put me in that space
hmm
where my mom was the way she was, to help me navigate, like, do you really want this,
yeah. I
or do you want to
agree.
settle for the 8 to 5 or whatever else career that is out there? And I said no. I was 10 toes down, and I said, hey, no, I want to do music. This is my passion, and I will like literally die for my passion. And I guess that hard conversation was really what got her to really realize, like, hey, like, maybe I should listen.
Yeah.
This is the first time he has probably spoke up about something that he's passionate about. Like, and the fact that she was really receptive at the time really helped me to navigate some of my limiting beliefs of thinking like, hey, like, I don't know if this is gonna happen or not. So I just want to encourage you out there, like, stand firm on your beliefs, stand firm on your purpose and your dreams. If you have a talent and you have something that you feel like you're good at and that you want to inspire other people, hey, use it. And sometimes it takes you just going out there and putting yourself out there, and you will find your tribe. You will find people who connect with what you're doing, to your talents. And it took a while for me to get there, and it also takes a level of resiliency of like, hey, if someone says something about it, hey, I'm still gonna rock with it. I'm still gonna do it because I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing it to help somebody else on the other side who's having trouble within themselves, believing in themselves, and just use it as a motivation to keep going, like I did. And I know it's not easy, but you're so able to do it, and you're so worthy of it.
Yeah. I would say to my kids to find your passion and be passionate about it. And I remember my son, he asked me, "What do you mean?" I said, "When you find your passion, it's that thing that when I come to you and I say, don't do it, and you look me dead in the eye and you say, I don't care what you say, Dad, I'm going to do it." That's it. And I would say it to them just like that. And I said, that's when you find your passion, and you just be passionate about it and put in the work and learn. And every time you do something, learn. And I would tell them, I said, failure is not an option. It's not failure. You don't look at it as failure. It is, every step is you're learning something, and you're learning what to do, what not to do, what works, what doesn't work. So don't look at it as failure. And so that will always, if you look at it as failure, you'll feel defeated sometimes. But if you look at it, if you're learning, you're going to continue to learn. So, man, that didn't work. Let me think about it. And so you'll engage your thoughts into getting to the next thing that you think would work. And so I always told them, find your passion and be passionate about it. And so, yeah, because when you find your passion and you're in there, I told them, I said, you will work 100 hours a day, and people are going to look at you and say, how can you do that? And once you find your passion, it gives you strength. Someone who doesn't belong there, they're going to work there for an hour or so, and they're going to be exhausted because that's not their passion. They don't belong there. But your passion, it gives you strength, and you're able to be in there for a long time. So here you are, man. You got your accolades. You're doing your thing. You're moving forward. And you talk about COVID coming in and rearranging things in your life.
Yes.
Talk to us because the personal journey, you have been on that personal development journey from a young man. You introduce journaling is one of the most powerful things that a individual can introduce in their life when it comes to personal development, because it's a document that follows them. And one of the powerful things that they say, write down the vision because it'll give you direction and stuff like that. So you have like a roadmap that you're putting together. Talk to me first, Rich. What other tools did you bring into your life to assist you in your personal development other than journaling?
Yeah, absolutely. Although journaling was very important at the time, I also introduced myself into motivational videos.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a position during the pandemic where I was, like most people, and I felt lost. I needed some hope because I was hopeless, and I did consider suicide at the point when I was going through depression during the pandemic. And I was able to tap into videos from David Goggins and Eric Thomas, these powerful motivational speakers, and I was able to glean a lot of like hope from them and their stories and their struggles, and that how they made it out of tumultuous times. And it just kept me inspired, like, okay, I'm not the only one who's going through struggles, and that there's also a way out of my struggle. I also started to implement motivational affirmations as well. I would just write them down, like, I am worthy, I have potential, like all these affirmations. And for the first time, I actually was affirming something that I didn't believe for so
Mm-hmm.
long. I lived that narrative of like, you're trash, you're unworthy, you ain't gonna amount to ish. And that was really the narrative that people were painting for my life. And also I was painting for my life, if I'm just being honest and transparent, because there were times when I would tell myself I'm not good enough, and I would shut the door on so many opportunities and things to showcase my talents and my gifts. But because I didn't think I was worthy of them, I didn't go for them. And I'm so grateful that, I had these motivational videos and affirmations, and I had these mental health books that I would read to help navigate that. I was reading a lot during that time. I was just reading a lot of self-care books and self-help books that got me through mental abuse when I was going through it in the pandemic. And it helped me reframe my mind of that victim's mentality, which is the reason, which also inspired the book. Because I had that victim's mentality, and it took those dark moments for me to reframe that victim's mentality to a victor's mentality for me.
Yeah, guys, we're going to put together, we're going to get you a link so that you can buy Richard's book. And you guys, my listeners, you know how I feel about about books, because books saved my life from when I was doing my journey. Because I've said it a million times that housed within those pages are life-saving words and phrases and wisdom. And so I am trying to get my people, Rich, to look at books differently as gifts to offer to people that are struggling instead of getting them meaningless stuff that are just wasteful. Start buying books on different things to lift people's spirit. And so we're going to provide you guys his links and so forth so you can get it as gifts for others. And as he said, many of you guys that are struggling as far as your belief in yourself, this book would be good for you so that you can get some insight as to how he utilized what he was learning from reading and the motivational speakers and so forth to change that victim mentality to a victor mentality, because many of us are walking around with a victim mentality and don't understand, as Rich is going to teach you, that you are a victor and not a victim. And so we're going to make sure that you guys get that. So here you are, man. You began to recognize the value of you. And that is a beautiful thing, because I like to see people recover themselves, from all of the dark spaces that we visit. And we have an opportunity to live for a little while, because I always tell people to be very careful, Rich, what you say, because you believe it at some point.
Yes.
And so people will say things about you, but when you start saying it, you'll believe it faster than what they say. So be very careful what you say. As he said the same thing. He said, I'm stupid, I'm foolish. And we do that. And you are listening and you'll believe it. So be very careful again what you say. Be mindful of your words. As you begin to make the transition from one walking in depression, one walking where you become suicidal, and you began to see and understand the value of you, what did you begin to notice about the transition that you were making here, Rich, and with your thoughts as you began to utter the words of those things that you are writing down, those words that you're writing down and repeating about this new you that you are creating?
That's a great question, because I noticed that the way I handled rejection was completely different than I handled it before. Because prior to COVID, and also just in general, like I had that victim's mentality. Like, somebody would say something and I would fall to pieces. Like, someone would say, "You ain't crap," or, "You're trash," and I would just crumble at the weight of people's words. And it really took the pandemic to really build a more resilient man that I see in front of myself, and for me to just feel more liberated of like, okay, yeah, I am worthy, not because someone else is affirming me, is because I was born with a gift. And then I also realized that, like, even through affirmation, and also through a book, like Eric Thomas did a book about you owe you. I've read it like twice during the pandemic, because the thing about purpose really drove me to, like, wait a minute, I know I'm here for a reason. Like, it's not a mistake. And it's not like, I gave myself a gift. And it's like I just started realizing, like, the more I affirmed myself, and not only affirmed, I learned also with my life coach that I can reaffirm that affirmation, and that really 360'd my whole entire mind frame. Because what it did was it helped me realize that not only I am worthy, you are worthy. It's like it really did affirm what was true for me and what was not true from years ago, and it really did help me navigate because I actually walked with a different posture. Like I started walking with a lot more confidence because I wasn't confident. I had shades on. I didn't want to be seen. I was always playing the background. A lot of people, I would be in spaces where I would be performing. I would rather this go last, or you know, I would just be so hesitant, and I was just so reluctant to like step into my purpose and my power. And by me reaffirming a lot of the stuff that I didn't believe about myself, it really helped me to believe that I am worth it. And it really helped me to change that narrative that I painted for my life from years ago of like that I'm not um gonna fulfill my purpose, and rap career is something that is only for a certain select amount of people, and adult a few people, and not me. So it really did 360 my mindset, my perspective, because at the time I didn't really know uh the limitations that I placed upon myself by speaking that upon myself. Even during the pandemic, I was speaking that upon myself, and those words that I affirmed really helped me. Hey, wait a minute, those are not words that are coming from God. That's the devil. Like it's not
Hmm.
real. This is a made
Yeah.
up. This is not the type of narrative that you're supposed to be adhering to. Like you could create your own, and by me writing those affirmations, it really helped me create a different story. And that was the most important thing. It helped me create a different story and not be stuck in that same victim story over replaying like an old cassette. That's what really helped me.
Yeah. I tell people that even in the Bible, God was he had taught the people about affirmations. He came to this guy Abraham, and he wanted to make, and he said he wanted to have him to be a father of many nations, and he was trying to tell him this for years. And eventually, he came to him and he said, "I'll tell you, I know what I'll do." And he changed his name from Abram to Abraham. Abraham means father of many nations. And so he changed his name. He gave him and he gave everyone an affirmation of what he wanted him to be. And so
Wow.
everyone that called him Abraham from that point on was saying and affirming that he was the father of many nations. And so I try to tell people, God believe in it, you should believe in it as well. And so find your affirmation for you. And the Bible is full of affirmation. I can do all things through Christ. I mean, it's just laid out. I mean, you turn the page and it's all in there. And why? He believed in it because he came and he gave it to us an example by doing it for this man's name. So find your affirmation that speaks to you. You have to find the thing because he was trying to say you're a father of many nations. So whatever you want to be, that's the affirmation that you find and you confess it and profess it, and it will manifest. He showed us how to do it.
That's
And
powerful.
you did it, and anyone else that wants to do it will do it, because when we release those words, it has no choice but to manifest, because we are creators just like God. Because he
Yes.
said, I've created you in my image and in my likeness. So that means that you can do exactly what he did. So if he showed Abraham how to do it, he can show you and I. And all it is, what did he do? He gave him an affirmation to start correcting his mouth. So
Mm.
when he started correcting his mouth, his situation changed. It was a year or so later that Sarah, his wife, got pregnant. And so we have to find our words, because what did he say later on in the Bible? It says that within those words, power is, life and death is in that tongue of that
Yes,
we
that's right.
carry. So what do you want, man? What do you want out of your life? And so we have the power to change it, and it changes here in our mind. And I tell people, and I use the Bible because a lot of people in church and it's simplified. God said, "Let there be light," and he said, "Let's make man in our image." Where did he get that from? It had to come here. He had his imagination. He had to imagine that first. And then he began to speak what he imagined. And that's how you and I create. You had to hear those men talk. And those men began to ignite in your imagination as to, wait a minute, I can imagine something different. And
Mm,
you began to speak to that new
mm-hmm,
imagination, and you, Rich, began to create in that room in
mm,
COVID while
yeah,
no distractions were there. You began to change the game because your imagination began to be ignited, your speech began to be corrected, and you are changing your world. You got your team, you got your coach, you got all the people. What are they for? They're
mm,
there to keep you focused so that you don't get sidetracked and you don't get discouraged. You don't allow those negative emotions to come in and distract you from your creation. And
wow,
here you are as a result of that. So
wow,
that's what, is available to all of you guys. And so affirmation is very powerful. Your imagination is very powerful. Your writing, journaling is another powerful tool. These are the things that you utilize. These are tools to help you to become
mm,
who you want to become. Talk to me now as when you're heading in towards the book, because you've gone through much. And how did you end up heading in that direction to say, hey, let me put this in pages? Because again, you've been writing and journaling for a while, but where did the thought come now to put this thing into a book form?
yeah. No, that's a great question because I didn't even think a book was my in my scope because music was something that played a huge integral part of my journey, and I've been doing music for like 10 plus years on and off. So for me, it's been the book had really been inspired. To be honest, it took the pandemic for me to like sit down and really see that there was something that I experienced that would help someone else. And that's really the main premise of the book. I really was inspired by my mentor. Unfortunately, fortunately, I had a bad um outing, so to speak. I had a bad last experience I had was really tumultuous to deal with, and it was bad falling out, for lack of better words. Unfortunately, due to mental abuse, I ended up falling out with her, and I decided that this was going to be the main inspiration of the book because I wanted to help other people navigate mental abuse because I didn't it was so hard for me to navigate it with not even knowing that I was going through mental abuse. And I also was inspired by another author. His name is Steve Ryan, and he had a poetry book and about some of his stories about poems about depression. And I had one-on-one conversations with him, and he just gave me the impression because my mindset was thinking like, oh, he has it all together, he has his own business, he's self-employed, he has no problems. And then I look at his book and I purchase his book and I'm like, holy crap, like you went through all of this? And then sometimes it's like me, making up a story in my head of like the perception,
Yeah,
the outside perception of like, their grandiose type of conversation, or they look like they're all together, but they could be really falling apart. And I think
yeah,
that's also the main reason I know that it really helped me navigate a lot because it's like, wow, if he could show his vulnerability and his depression and things like that he's coped with and how he's overcome, why can't I do the same thing? I have so much experiences now of the things that I've gone through and the things that I've overcome because I'm here to tell the story, and that really lit a fire under me to say, hey, wait a minute, there's something there. And it just took me on a journey of like, it took 3 years for me to just wrap my mind, of which a lot of people don't know, that it took 3 years for me to just sit back and forth. Wait, I don't know if I can do this.
yeah.
Oh, I don't see myself as an author. And even my mentor was like, "You need to do a biography." I was like, "Me? What, capable?" I just start with the poem book, and
Yeah.
I'll see where that goes from there. And it's something that I'm proud of. That I'm proud it took the 3 years, because it took a lot for me to, like, to be honest, digest what
Yeah.
was going on with me for so many years that I kept under wraps. That for me to just rush a book out, I would have done a disservice to
Hmm.
humanity, to be honest, because I felt like with this book I was able to write it in such a way that helps people see the journey of where I've been through, as far as mental abuse and dealing with self-worth projections and self-image, and feeling like I'm not enough, and feeling liberated at the same time to chase my dreams. So a lot of it is just the premise of, like, it's okay not to be okay. And I want this book to remind people that even if they're going through struggles and dark moments, that's not there forever, and that this too shall pass, and that they don't have to live in that victim's mentality, and that they could rewrite a new narrative, which is a victor mentality.
Yeah. It's a choice. It's always a choice. And the victim is a choice, and the victor is a choice. And simply because we are creators, as I said, and we created the victim individual on a default mode, we created that individual by what we said, just like we would create the victor by what we said and what we say. Same thing. It's we did that. As you testified, I am weak, I'm a failure, I'm stupid. Yeah. And then that's what you created. But when you decided, you changed your mind, your thoughts was activated by watching those videos. And once your thought life was activated, you were inspired, if you will, and the words used, and you had a thought that came and said, wait a minute, I can create something different. And you began to take the steps necessary to do that. It is not easy. There's a scripture that says, when you are in the fire, I will be there. When you are in the flood, I'll be there. He didn't say
Yeah.
he's going to stop you from all of that stuff. He said, when you're in it, I'm there with you. So it doesn't matter. You're going to go through, is what he's saying. It rains on the just and the unjust. You're going to go through some stuff. But while you're going through that stuff, you're still creating. Don't worry about all that stuff. Just keep moving, and don't, as I said, I try to tell people, don't look at things as failure, because when you are now aware that you are created, before, when you are disconnected and you're just on a default mode, you're not aware of what you're doing, but you are creating. When
Mm.
you are now creating, you will become frustrated if you allow yourself, because the manifestation is not working on your timeline. And that's when you get frustrated, because you expect it to happen right away. And that's when one must learn to surrender your expectation
Mm.
and allow, because you're co-creating with God, and he sees some additional stuff that you don't see. And so he holds it back, like that book. You weren't ready yet for the book, and
Mm-hmm.
he had to make it ripe and make
Yeah.
you ripe, so that when the fruit comes, it's tasty to the reader, because the fruit sat there enough time, and it wasn't green. And so when that individual that buys the book, Rich, and they read it, it is a tasty treat for them. And the juices, as they say, is coming down the sides of their mouth, and they're enjoying it. If it was a green thing, it can get damaged. And so it was ready. It had to be ready. That's how he works. It has to be ready. So when we begin to create, we can step ahead. We try to jump ahead and not learn how to walk with God. He says, I will order your step. He says, walk with God, not before, not behind, but walk with him. And so that's the fun part with the journey, is that we have to learn how to walk with, and that takes a little time, if you will. And we have to learn how to listen. We have to learn how to be patient. We have to learn how to do a few things, but you know, at the end, it manifests because why? That's what he wants it to do. Because we came here. I tell people, nobody came here to do a job. We came here to do an assignment, to fulfill an assignment. And I'll prove to the people why, because Peter and those guys were fishermen and they were doing their jobs. And Jesus came to them and said, "Come, follow me, and I'll give you your assignment." He said, "I'll make you fishers of men." Who knows what that means? Those guys didn't know what that means, but yet they left and they went and they followed him. And it cost them, some of them, most of them, cost them their life. But their job did not fulfill them, but their assignment. Because Peter made a statement when they were trying to crucify him. He said, "Wait a minute, I don't deserve to be crucified straight up. Turn me upside down." That's badass stuff right there.
Well,
When someone who understands their assignment. And so you and I and everyone on this planet has called here an assignment. You have walked it, and it'll continue to be one that evolves. We'll never complete it all as we are here. And so you have done your stuff, man, and you are here today. And what is it on your heart that you feel? Because God always moves us. You never, when we are on this journey, it's 2025. What is it you feel that tug is taking you to the next level, if you will, as you're moving through your life, man? What is it you sense, if you will, that you need to continue to do or even stretch out beyond?
yeah, no, that's a great segue because when I first did a vision board for this year, and I was just reminded of like the word bold, and my life coach really challenges me a lot. And my accountability, she's also my accountability coach. She says, how can I be bold? And for me, that's always been a word that's been hard for me to grapple because I come off as very shy, reserved, and very timid, and so the last thing I want to be is bold. So for me, like everything that I've done in my career has been bold. Stepping onto the stage is really bold. Not knowing that people are going to be receptive to the message or not, and people validate me or not, and just a lot of those things really involve a level of boldness. And I feel like God is telling me, how can I be bold in 2025? 2024 was a great year for me. And
Mm-hmm.
also this year, he's telling me, okay, take the training wheels off, so to speak. So like for me, he's like, go into spaces, that need your message. Like don't be complacent on the same spaces you're performed at before. Like get into new rooms. Like
Yeah.
the whole like the new venue I just performed, a couple weeks ago. That was a new space. It's scary because I don't know the space. I don't know the setup. I don't know the people. He's telling me get to different rooms. He's telling me really be an advocate for mental health and really honor your story, because I feel like the more I honor my story, the more people can get saved and healed, because the more I let go of like perfection, or it needs to be this picture perfect narrative. It's like, no, this is my story. It's gonna come out raw. It's gonna come out, how it's supposed to be. But at the end of the day, there's gonna be transparency and authenticity, because it's coming from, the deepest trenches of my heart and my soul. Of like, this is what I lived. I only could speak for the experience that I lived, and I can't do anything other than that. And I know that God is telling me, hey, like, there's another book in you, like this, this festivals that you need to perform at. There's like so much things, and there's a foundation you need to do. Like this, you need to start an LLC, a nonprofit, like for mental health, and all those things I wrote on my vision board. Because for me, I believe in manifesting stuff as well. Of like, my only limit is myself, and I keep sometimes, like, if I keep on putting the limiters on,
Mm-hmm.
I know I would never be able to stretch to where I feel like God has allowed me to stretch. Being a part of, a nonprofit organization is also will stretch me too, because it's gonna involve me being more hands on with more people and being taking more of an authority type of role than I really vision for myself, but it's gonna also stretch me to like take more control of like certain decision making stuff where before I would be more in the back seat, and now it's like I have a say so. So a lot of that is what God is really calling me to do, especially for this year, and also to continue to make new empowering music, because I feel like that's the biggest gap. Also, is like the people who tell me like there's not enough people who are advocating for mental health,
Hmm.
and sometimes that scares me because it's like I'm like, how, there's so many people who experience mental health issues, even if they're not
Yeah.
diagnosed with something. Like I'm not diagnosed with mental health illness, but I have all the symptoms,
Yeah.
and for me not to like talk about it and give other people hope and inspire people, it's just for me not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, like as for a service. And I also really believe that my music is meant to empower other people, because there's times when I write a song and it's like I need to hear it for myself, because I need to get empowered today to like continue going. Because when I don't have a good day, I'm like, I need to throw on a I'm Enough Yes As I Am record that I wrote, or I'm Meant for More, to really keep me going. Because there's been times where I'm just like, man, music feels like a chore, and I don't want to ever feel like a passion of mine is a chore. I want to make
Yeah.
sure that if God has given me something to do and fulfill, He's gonna like give me the experiences for me to navigate, the people around my corner to be like, hey, keep going, because there's something that you have to say that's gonna set someone else free. And that's for me, my life's duty and my life service.
Rich man, I want to thank you for coming to Threads of Enlightenment and just laying it out for us, man, and giving it all that you have. And from the deepest part of my heart, I want to thank you so much for and honor you for sharing your journey and allowing the audience to get a chance to know who you are and what you have done and what you came through and what your future looks like. And all of you guys that have been a part of us, we are going to provide everything for you to get to him, get the book, and keep in touch with him so you can find out all the different things that he will be ending up doing in the future so that you can see what he is going to do and how he affects the world. But first of all, get the book so that it can affect you and change your life so that you can also change the world. Thank you again for coming to Threads of Enlightenment.
Thank you, I appreciate it. If anybody wants to keep up with my journeys, my hero's journey and my musical journey, you can follow me at Rich Vision. So it's gonna be RICHVY like yellow SION on all social media. So it's RICHVY like yellow SION on all social media, Instagram, YouTube, and everything else under the same name. Thank you so much for your experiences, and thank you so much for the privilege of being to share my story to empower other people to keep going.
Definitely. And again, we will provide that stuff for them as well. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in to Threads of Enlightenment with Ken Primus. Hopefully, you're now feeling more empowered to overcome the challenges in your life, whatever they may be. Share that inspiration with others by telling them about this podcast, rating it, and of course, remember to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. For more connection, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram by searching for Threads of Enlightenment. Until next time, stay enlightened.